I was breaking free from my old parenting habits and creating new ones. It felt both frustrating and freeing. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hey, everybody. It's CMP Book Club Day. This is part of a 15-part series where every Thursday I read you a chapter from my book, Connect Method Parenting. If you want a physical copy, you can grab one on Amazon, or if you're more of an audiobook kind of person, tune in each week and I will read it to you one chapter at a time. If you're catching this episode and haven't listened to any of the other CMP Book Club episodes, you can go back to 32 if you want to start at the beginning, or you can start in the middle and continue on with me. Don't forget to download the CMP Companion Book Guide at cmp.works/CWB. I've posted the link in the show notes, and that's going to help you integrate and implement what we talk about each week in the chapter I share with you. All right, let's do it. Chapter 7, Beliefs are the beginning. Parenting begins with your beliefs. Your brain is filled with sentences. Everything begins as a sentence in your mind. You're conscious of some of them, but most you aren't. You've practiced certain thoughts for so long that they've become ingrained, unquestioned beliefs. You don't remember you created them. You think of them as truth. Throughout this chapter, I'll be using a few different terms that will be helpful to define. Thought, a sentence you think in your mind, could be conscious or subconscious. Belief, a thought you've thought so often that it has become something you believe in. It has become your truth. Once a thought becomes a belief, you rarely question it. Could be conscious, but typically beliefs are subconscious. Some of these ingrained beliefs are amazing. They make your life better, including beliefs such as I'm patient, I'm generous, my kids are kind, my children are helpful. Some of these ingrained beliefs are not amazing. They make your life worse. The kids won't listen. He's being lazy. I don't like how rude she was just now. I don't want to deal with my child's tantrum. I can't believe she just rolled her eyes at me. You might think, today has been so amazing. You won't question that sentence. You'll believe that's simply the truth. This is also true when you think, my 5-year-old is being so difficult, or my teenager is so rude. These are such deeply held beliefs that you don't even realize they are just sentences in your mind. You hear them and think you are just stating the facts, telling yourself the news. To make the switch from corrective parenting to connective parenting, you must evaluate your thinking and beliefs. You've got to notice your default beliefs and see if you like them. If you want to parent differently in the future, you must start by creating a different set of beliefs. How do you do that? It starts with a thought download. Step 1, the default download. Write down all the thoughts you have about your parenting. Don't censor them or try to make them sound nice and pretty. You don't have to show this list to anybody. It's important you're honest and write down every thought that comes up. Give yourself permission to write down all the thoughts you have about your kids, your parenting, your partner, etc. Get them all out. You must see what you're thinking before you can do anything about it. Step 2, the intentional download. Write down all the thoughts you want to have about your parenting, your kids, yourself, your partner, etc. You want to create a different way of parenting in the future. This future starts in your brain today. Keep your thought download handy. You'll be working on it throughout this audiobook. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. Henry David Thoreau. You know better, but can't do better. I sat up in bed in a cold sweat, anxious and worried. I'd gone to bed emotionally exhausted, disappointed, and disheartened. I had fallen asleep and dreamt of my mistakes. I was a few years into discovering Connect Method Parenting. I knew better, but couldn't do better. The increased awareness left me feeling even worse about my parenting than I had a few years prior. I fell back on my pillow in utter disgust. I was in a steep growth cycle, which meant I was in steep discomfort.
I'd recently discovered that 1, trying to change my parenting was hard. 2, knowing a better way to parent did not mean I was able to do better at parenting. 3, I hated messing up. 4, I hated feeling embarrassed or taken for granted. 5, I was a pro at beating myself up. 6, my mind wanted to grow and change. 7, my body wanted to keep things the same. 8, my body was winning. 9, I had no idea how to really change my parenting habits in real-life situations. Based on how I was feeling, I thought something had gone terribly wrong. It was infuriating to know better, but not be able to do better. What I didn't realize at the time was that I was in the messy middle. Nothing was going wrong. Everything was going right. I was breaking free from my old parenting habits and creating new ones. It felt both frustrating and freeing, which I later found out was totally normal. Embracing Connect Method parenting starts by finding the stories, the subconscious beliefs, and the emotions you aren't aware of and getting acquainted. Neuroscience research shows that the only way we can change the way we feel is by becoming aware of our inner experience and learning to befriend what is going on inside ourselves. Bessel A. van der Kolk. Subconscious programs. When your child gets scared, feels judged, and doesn't feel safe, the nervous system installs a program into your child's brain that sounds something like this. They laughed at me when I said something in class today. Subconscious program. It's not safe to share my opinion in public. I came in last at the mile in PE. Subconscious program. I'm not an athletic person. These little programs get logged in your subconscious without you even realizing it and begin to change your perception of life. Your unquestioned subconscious program beliefs become your life. You could say the baby powder blizzard that I told you about a few chapters back broke me out of my old way of thinking about parenting. Ultimately, the pause I experienced in that moment set me on the trajectory of eventually creating Connect Method parenting. And as part of that method, I created Peace, my 5-step process for unpacking subconscious beliefs. Peace has been a life-changing process for me and the parents I've worked with over the years. I continue to go through it regularly to clean up my beliefs and create the life I want with my children. It helps me find the subconscious beliefs that are running the show and install new ones. Here's what it looks like. P. Pause and get present. Take 5 to 15 minutes to write down everything that's going on in your mind. Write down every thought, emotion, regret, story, judgment, resentment. This helps your nervous system calm down, which will allow you to become aware of the subconscious beliefs running in the background. E. Explore and expand. Look at what you wrote down. Circle the facts. Star all the thoughts. Get curious and look at it like a scientist would. Take your time and see what you notice. A. Allow and accept it. What feels true as you look at your paper? What problems feel insurmountable? How do you feel as you read through what you wrote down? Are you judging yourself for the beliefs you have? Remind yourself that nothing has gone wrong. Beliefs don't mean anything about who you are. They are your nervous system's way of trying to keep you safe. Keep the beliefs you like. Identify the ones that aren't helping you be the calm, connected parent you want to be. Do the work to let those go by getting coaching and talking about them to a loving and supportive friend who just listens. C. Create and commit. Pick one default belief you've had about parenting or your children from what you've written down. A belief you discovered as you wrote your thoughts down that isn't helping you become the parent you want to be. It's time to believe something different. You will use that belief to create a belief statement. Doing the work in the previous steps of peace must be done prior to moving on to this step. Why? Because those steps create the awareness and understanding you need to actually change your belief. You can't change a belief through willpower. And you can't change a belief about something you think is terrible or feel is unchangeable. The work you've done in the first 3 steps must be done prior to creating and committing to a new belief. Otherwise, your belief statement will be a nice statement you read that doesn't actually help you become a calm, connected parent. Once you have done the PEA work, the first 3 steps in peace, you're ready for the next step, which is C, create and commit to a belief statement. A belief statement helps you change your old belief to a new one. I'm going to teach you how to word your belief statement in a way that makes it easier for your subconscious mind to accept and believe. Here are some guidelines for creating your belief statement. 1, keep it short and sweet, just 1 or 2 sentences. 2, write it so it makes you feel something emotionally. 3, keep it in the first person, I, me. For example, I am patient. I love my children just as they are. 4, make it present tense, am versus were. 5, keep it positive. I am courageous versus I am not afraid. Here are some examples of belief statements. I create connected relationships with my children through my thoughts and actions. I treat my children and myself with kindness and patience. I use my time wisely and effectively. I see challenges as gifts. My life is balanced. Commit to practicing it until you believe it. Choose something you do every day or multiple times a day, something ordinary that doesn't hold any huge significant meaning in your life. Something as simple as drinking a glass of water, washing your hands, brushing your teeth, or yawning. Decide to make that the time you repeat your belief statement and visualize what it would look like and feel like if that was how things currently were. Repeat and visualize it as many times as possible. What would things be like, feel like, sound like, etc.? Think to yourself, this is amazing. Look what I've created. Wow, I've really done this. E, execute and evaluate. After you're done saying and visualizing your belief statement, ask yourself, what is one action I'm willing to take to help me realize this new potential? Write that thing down. Then evaluate how it went with the curiosity of a scientist. Whatever you want to create for you and your kids is possible. If it hasn't happened yet, it's just going to take a bit more belief, action, and failure before it does. Yep, I said failure because messing up and failing is part of the process of becoming a Connect method parent. It's part of the process anytime you're learning and growing. An absence of fear of the future and a veneration for the past. One who fears the future, who fears failure, limits his activities. Failure is only the opportunity more intelligently to begin again. There is no disgrace in honest failure. There is disgrace in fearing to fail. What is past is useful only as it suggests ways and means for progress. Henry Ford. Failure is not what happens because you didn't succeed. Failure is what happens because you are committed to succeeding. Becoming a Connect method parent is all about the mantra, I'm willing to fail over and over again to become the kind of parent I want to be for my kids. When you go for something and are willing to fail, you will inevitably gain what Dan Sullivan calls strategic byproducts, which is the wisdom and understanding and knowledge that happens when you're willing to learn from every situation. These strategic byproducts change you and ultimately make it possible for you to hit your goal of believing your new belief statement. Behind every success story is a trail of failure. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity. Steve Jobs was booted from his own company. Milton Hershey had 3 candy companies fail before Hershey's. Einstein was expelled from school and denied entrance to Zurich Polytechnic School. Success is failure in progress. Albert Einstein. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan.
If you're new to Connect Method Parenting, I have a great way for you to get started. I created a free course that covers some of the biggest challenges parents are facing and how Connect Method Parenting solves them. In an hour, we're going to talk about why parenting is so hard, how to get your kids to want to listen to you, how to stop yelling and losing your cool, and become that calm, confident, connected parent for good. It's the fastest way to get started using Connection as your go-to tool for influencing and impacting your kids. Go to cmp.works/course to get instant access today.
If you're willing to feel the emotion of failure as you work on fully believing your belief statement and learn from every failure you experience, there is nothing you won't be able to accomplish. You'll begin to approach life like Nelson Mandela when he said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." Pick one action you're willing to take today that will help you get closer to believing your belief statement. Write that thing down and do it. At the end of the day, do what I started calling my daily Disney review. We don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors. Walt Disney. The 3-question daily Disney review is made up of these 3 questions. 1. What worked great today? 2. What didn't work great today? 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? Let life teach you. You never need to go hunting to find situations that challenge you. They occur all the time by themselves. Every single day, you are given situations in which you are triggered. When this happens, you have the option to open up to the experience or shut down to the experience. You're standing at the kitchen sink with the dishes from last night, and just as you get started washing, you hear the kids fighting in the other room. The frustration and hopelessness start bubbling up. Stories start popping into your head about how no one helps around the house, how the kids should be able to get along with each other for 2 seconds without you there. This is the human experience. This is where you have a choice. Either you embrace what's happening or you push it away. Most of us don't take full advantage of situations like this. Why not? Because we don't realize there is anything to take advantage of. We think the only options are to reluctantly stay and deal with the situation, run like crazy to escape it, or bury our emotions pretending everything is fine. Reaching your limit is a sign of health. You're being given a chance to stop letting fear, frustration, or worry rule you. You stand at the edge of the cliff ready to let that part of you die, and your body resists saying, "What will happen if I let that fearful or frustrated part of me go? It feels like I might die if I let it go." Sounds ridiculous because you don't even like that part of you, but it's part of you, and your subconscious mind doesn't know who you'll be without it. Your brain wants to hold on to it because, historically speaking, change could quite literally equal death. Thousands of years ago, it was risky to change your tribe, to disagree with how others thought, and to question commonly held beliefs. It could mean getting kicked out of the tribe and deprived of safety and security. The primitive part of our brain still functions from those old beliefs. A dear friend of mine reached her limit whenever her house was a mess. As a new parent, I reached my limit when every day my toddlers would dump out everything from the cupboards onto my kitchen floor. Stephanie, a new mother, reached her limit after staying up every night with her newborn for weeks. What triggers you might be no big deal for another. What creates excitement in one might create fear in another. It doesn't matter what causes you to reach your limit or get triggered. What matters is what you do when you reach that limit. Facing your fears. As a child, I had nightmares about airplanes crashing into our house. Night after night, I would wake up and rush to my parents' room. One night, my dad lifted me up onto his shoulders and took me into the backyard. "We're going to look at the planes tonight, Andy," he said. Every few minutes, a plane flew overhead on the way to the airport 30 miles away. I shouted, "That's the sound, Daddy. That's the sound that makes me think it's crashing." He smiled and said, "Really? That's interesting. Let's watch and see." Soon I realized the sound must not mean they were crashing because they never did. I relaxed and never had that nightmare again because my dad helped me face my fears instead of avoiding them, which had kept me stuck in them. When you go up against your worst nightmare, the interesting question is, what happens next? The Connect Method parenting journey involves pushing beyond hope and beyond fear. It requires stepping into the unknown and continuing to move towards deeper connection, love, and acceptance. The most important thing you can do is to keep moving towards your goal. When you get triggered because your child says they hate you, or you feel like you can't handle the meltdowns anymore, you freeze. Your mind and your body stop moving forward. The negative beliefs begin swirling in your mind. How do you stop this from happening? Slow down and welcome in the emotional experience. Breathe as you describe to yourself how the emotions of anger, hate, frustration, disappointment, or humiliation feel inside your body. Instead of avoiding them, ignoring them, or reacting to them. One of my favorite ways to do this is to put a hand on my chest and name the emotion. This is fear. Then sit with it and let it be there, reminding yourself that this is just an emotion. Get curious and notice and question the belief. Instead of believing stories like, "My kids don't get along, bedtime is terrible, no one listens to me," notice them, question them. You want to interrupt the old stories, not keep playing them out. Pull out a piece of paper, write down all the thoughts you have about the situation. This is an important step to start shifting from corrective to connective parenting in real life. Let the emotions keep coming. Allow the emotions to keep bubbling. Sometimes it feels like the emotions will pierce your heart, but they won't. Once the emotion dissipates, your brain matures emotionally. It now knows that it can handle that big emotion and come out on the other side stronger. Welcoming in all your emotions is a compassionate, kind, and generous way of living. It's easier said than done. Be patient with yourself. It's the path of noticing your triggers. It creates bravery, develops courage, and breeds attributes like gentleness, curiosity, and compassion. It takes practice, but stick with it. The better you get at feeling and embracing whatever emotions arise, the better you'll be at helping your children do the same. Understanding and healing your triggers. Triggers are emotions, stories, or beliefs that aren't helping you become the connective parent. Your nervous system has created these stories and emotions because it's trying to keep you safe. It's what human nervous systems do. Once you discover the trigger and the underlying emotion it's causing you to feel, you want them to go away. You might blame yourself for not being able to get that to happen sooner. At a retreat, I was asked to identify my triggers. I shared that a woman I'd known for years was a huge trigger. I confidently gave my reason. Because she's not kind, and I'm scared when I'm around her. She feels dangerous, I said. The facilitator cut me off there. "Oh, really?" she replied. "What has she done? Tried to shoot you?" She laughed. I was shocked. I started sweating and judged myself for being so ridiculous. Of course she hadn't tried to kill me. I wish I hadn't said anything. I felt shame and disappointment and thought I was a terrible human for feeling so bothered by another human. I couldn't believe I'd said she was dangerous. I was obviously stupid for being willing to share this in a group setting. Looking back, I can see how I truthfully did feel she was dangerous. My subconscious brain had created a story that caused such a reaction in my nervous system that it often felt like I was unsafe when I was around her. Years later, I received the validation, safety, and space to heal this trigger. It was one of the most freeing moments of my life. You can't rush or pressure yourself to heal your triggers and rewrite your beliefs. It can never be done in fight or flight mode. You must relax and identify the reason you have your triggering belief before you can decide to believe something different. There is nothing wrong with triggers. Everyone has them, including your kids. They're vital for your development. The point is to not eradicate them, but to view them as chances to see what you're blind to. The point is to stop struggling against the trigger and to relax into them, to acknowledge and release the meaning you are giving the trigger. Meditation is a safe and nurturing way to begin working on healing your triggers. An easy way to start meditating is to 1, close your eyes, 2, say a phrase to remind yourself you're safe. I often say, I am safe, and I am here now. This helps me feel safe and present. 3, get familiar with your trigger story without believing, repressing, or indulging it. Let the energy and emotion be there and feel it. 4, keep reminding yourself that you are safe, loved, and enough. 5, breathe and relax. I often say in my mind with each breath, in, out. This keeps my mind present and focused on the breath instead of distracted by my thoughts. As you pause and slow your mind down, you sow the seeds of awareness and compassion. For 6 months, I meditated every morning with a small group of women. My mantra was simply, I am safe. Every day I repeated it for 30 minutes, and gradually it had a cumulative effect. I didn't even realize how unsafe I felt until I started the meditative practice. The more I sat with myself every day with the intention of believing that I was safe, whole, complete, and lovable, the safer I felt. A relaxation came over my entire body drop by drop. I worked on believing that I had been and that I continued to do my best. Judgment, regret, shame, and frustration would creep in. I would squirm and feel so uncomfortable. Frequently, the 30-minute meditation would end, and I would feel like my brain had been running nonstop. I'd be exhausted and more agitated. My conclusion was that I was failing at meditation, which would lead me right into berating myself for not figuring out how to turn off those blasted thoughts. Dang, I just want to be a better mom, wife, human. Why is it so hard? I wanted my brain to stop thinking, but then someone told me that was impossible. I didn't believe her. I resisted, I fought, I blamed, I felt ashamed, I stayed stuck, but it was true. Your brain thinks automatically, just as your body breathes automatically. Sure, you can breathe consciously, but most of the time you don't. The same applies with your thoughts. You can think consciously, but most of the time you don't. Healing your triggers so you can stay calm and connected, no matter what your kids do, is something that happens over time. The first step is to stop thinking you shouldn't have the trigger. All humans have triggers. The second step is to stop blaming yourself for not being able to stop believing the story or feeling the emotion. This trigger is here to teach you something. It might not feel pleasant, but it can turn into something very productive. Once you stop resisting the trigger, you can start understanding the trigger. A few great tools to start understanding your trigger are meditation, mindfulness, coaching, emotional processing, vulnerability, tapping, yoga, qigong, walks, listening to different kinds of music, taking a bath, lying on the warm grass in the summer, or swinging on a swing. Parents I work with discover their own regimen of activities to help them relax their nervous system and understand their triggers. The tools I've just listed are a few ways I've found that help slow the brain down. Your turn. Take action in 30 minutes or less. Trigger release plan. Take some time to brainstorm and come up with your own trigger release plan. Use what I just talked about in this chapter to brainstorm and create your own.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out League, my Connect Method parenting coaching program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.